Okay, so we're going deep into WNBA finances.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a real head-scratcher.
Guess so.
Well, we're seeing record-breaking attendance.
Right.
TV ratings are absolutely soaring.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And players like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are, like, bona fide superstars now.
For sure. For sure.
But here's the thing.
What's that?
The league is still projected to lose a massive $40 million in 2024.
Wow.
Yeah. So how can something be this popular and still be struggling so much on the financial side?
Well, it really is a fascinating paradox, isn't it?
It is.
You think with all this success, the money would be pouring in?
Exactly.
But the reality is there's this huge disconnect between all the wins they're racking up on the court and the actual financial stability of the league.
Yeah, and we've got these reports showing just how much the WNBA's popularity has exploded.
Oh, yeah.
Viewership during Clark and Reese's games this season jumped a ridiculous 170%.
That's insane.
I know, right? They're breaking merchandise sales records left and right.
Wow.
Over 100 games completely sold out.
That's incredible.
It is huge wins for the league.
Yeah, no doubt about that. But then you take a peek at the financial statements, and it's a totally different story.
Like night and day.
That $40 million loss is a huge warning sign.
Even if it is an improvement from the $50 million they initially projected.
Right, it's still a massive financial burden.
And it's definitely causing some major headaches for the league's investors.
Especially the NBA owners.
Oh, yeah, this is where things get really juicy.
Oh, tell me more.
Okay, so the NBA isn't just some casual bystander here.
Right.
They own a whopping 60% of the WNBA.
Wow.
And when you add in the individual team owners, that stake jumps to 75%.
So they've poured a ton of money into this.
Oh, yeah, they've invested heavily, but haven't seen much of a return yet.
And that lack of return is causing some serious tension.
Oh, I bet.
We've even got some NBA executives, I won't name names, but they're saying things like, the WNBA owes the NBA so much, we won't see any windfall for years.
Ouch.
Yeah, not exactly what you want to hear if you're an investor.
No, not at all.
And you can bet that doesn't sit well with folks like James Dolan.
He owns the New York Knicks, right?
That's right, and he's been publicly pushing Commissioner Adam Silver for more financial transparency.
So basically everyone's demanding to know where the money's going.
Exactly. There's this clash brewing between the surge in popularity and these increasingly frustrated investors.
It makes you wonder, is this a turning point for the WNBA?
Could be.
Can they actually turn all this popularity into profit, or are they headed for a major shakeup?
That's the big question.
It is. And to answer it, I think we need to look at a few key pieces of the puzzle.
Okay, I'm listening.
One of the biggest is the upcoming negotiations for the collective bargaining agreement.
You mean the CBA?
Exactly. The WNBA Players Association opted out of the current agreement.
So they're ready to fight for something better.
Oh, yeah. They're demanding significantly higher salaries for the players.
I mean, rightfully so.
I mean, the highest paid player right now makes a measly $250,000.
That's it?
Yeah. You've got players like Aliyah Boston who've been very outspoken about wanting to see some commas in their paychecks.
Really?
They're aiming for salaries over $1 million.
Wow, that's a huge jump.
It is.
And it's going to create a whole new set of challenges for the league, even with that promising new media deal on the horizon.
That's right.
Which is set to start in 2026.
And could bring in up to $260 million annually.
But even with that potential windfall, those rising player salaries could eat up any projected profits pretty quickly.
It really does feel like a race against time.
Doesn't it?
They've got this incredible opportunity to capitalize on all this momentum.
Yeah.
But they've also got to figure out a way to balance what the players need with what the investors are demanding.
Right.
All while making sure the whole thing is financially viable.
It's a delicate balancing act for sure.
It is. And it's going to take some seriously creative solutions if the WNBA wants to come out on top.
No doubt about it. And that's what it all boils down to, doesn't it?
Finding that sweet spot.
Can the WNBA actually ride this wave of success and rake in enough money to keep both the players and the investors happy?
Right. And actually turn a profit.
Exactly. Because it's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it.
Oh, totally.
You've got teams like the Golden State Valkyries.
They're joining the league in 2025, right?
Yep.
I read they paid a $50 million expansion fee.
Yeah. That's a massive vote of confidence.
It is, but it also shows this weird disconnect.
What's that?
None of that expansion fee money goes to the NBA owners.
Oof, that's gotta sting a little.
I know, it's like adding fuel to the fire of their frustration.
They see all this potential.
Yeah.
They're pouring money into the league.
Yeah.
But they're not seeing any direct financial return from these expansion deals.
It's a tough pill to swallow.
It is for sure.
So it's not just about making more money in general. It's about figuring out how that money's being divvied up.
Exactly who benefits from all this success.
It's a tangled web for sure.
Absolutely. To really understand the situation, we need to take a step back and look at the big picture of the WNBA's revenue streams.
Let's do it.
Okay, so their current media rights deal brings in about $60 million annually.
Which is nothing compared to what the NBA rakes in.
You're telling me their media deals bring in billions?
Oh, yeah. It's a drop in the bucket compared to that.
Right. And that gap in media revenue?
Yeah.
That's a huge reason why the WNBA is struggling financially.
Makes sense. And that new media deal they've got starting in 2026.
The one that could bring in $260 million a year?
Yeah. That's a step in the right direction, but it still might not be enough.
Especially with those rising player salaries that are probably going to come out of these CBA negotiations.
It's like they're walking the tightrope.
They've got to increase revenue like crazy. But they also have to keep expenses under control.
Right. And somehow keep both the players and the investors from jumping ship. Yeah.
It's a tough spot to be in.
It is, and it makes these CBA negotiations even more important.
The players want to be paid what they're worth.
Yet they're the ones drawing in the crowds.
They're breaking those merchandise sales records.
And ultimately, they're the ones driving the WNBA's popularity.
You can't argue with that.
And players like Caitlin Clark have been very clear about wanting to see their value reflected in their paychecks.
Rightfully so.
They're putting in the work.
Yep.
They're the reason for all this growth.
For sure.
They deserve a piece of the pie.
And it's not just about individual players getting richer.
Right.
The WNBA Players Association wants to see changes that benefit all players.
Things like higher base salaries, better travel conditions, and improved benefits.
Exactly. It's about more than just dollars and cents.
It's about the future of the league and what it stands for.
It's about recognizing the value of women's professional basketball.
And ensuring that the players who make it all happen
Are treated fairly and compensated accordingly.
So these negotiations are about way more than just money.
They really are. They're about pushing for equality in the world of professional sports.
It's a powerful statement.
It is, and the outcome of these negotiations, it's going to be a huge factor in whether the WNBA can finally achieve long-term financial stability.
We've talked about a lot.
Yeah.
Revenue, salaries, expansion.
Right.
But it always comes back to the players, doesn't it?
Absolutely. They're at the heart of it all.
They're the ones out there on the court.
They're the ones bringing in the fans.
They're the faces of this incredible growth the WNBA is experiencing.
But they're also the ones feeling the squeeze from all these financial problems.
We're talking about a league where some players are barely making ends meet.
It's tough to build a stable career when you're not even sure you can pay your bills.
And it's not like they're not putting in the work.
No way, these are elite athletes.
Dedicated to their craft.
Absolutely. And they deserve to be compensated fairly.
Which is why these CBA negotiations are so important.
They really are.
It's not just about a few players getting a bigger paycheck.
It's about creating a system that values women's professional basketball.
Right. Recognizes what these athletes bring to the table.
And sets a standard for the future of the league.
So it's almost like a social movement as much as a financial negotiation.
In a way, yeah.
It's about pushing for greater equality in pro sports.
Definitely. And that's something the fans understand.
The WNBA have these incredibly passionate fans.
They're not just showing up to the games.
Right. They're advocating for the players.
They're pushing for change.
And they're holding the league accountable.
They're a force to be reckoned with.
So what can fans do to make a real difference here?
Well, they're already buying tickets, wearing the jerseys, spreading the word.
But is there more they can do?
I think staying vocal is huge.
Right,
Engaging with the league on social media, supporting player initiatives, making their voices heard by the people in charge.
That collective action can have a real impact.
It puts pressure on the league to do the right thing.
So it's like a grassroots movement to show the world that the WNBA is worth investing in.
Both financially and socially.
Well said. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of WNBA finances, what's the one thing you want our listeners to take away?
I think the big takeaway here is that the WNBA is at a crossroads.
They've got all this momentum.
But they're facing some serious challenges.
And the decisions they make in the coming years are going to determine the future of the league.
It's a story that's still unfolding, and the ending is uncertain.
But it's a story worth paying attention to.
Absolutely. There's so much potential here.
So much talent, so much passion.
And the fans are clearly hungry for more.
So these challenges are significant.
But they're not impossible to overcome.
With smart decision-making, continued fan support, and a commitment to treating the players fairly, the WNBA has a real chance to build a bright future.
I agree with you there.
That's a wrap on this deep dive into WNBA finances.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us, and until next time, keep those conversations going.